What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets and give you guys a very important warning for tomorrow. Just note that I am not a financial planner. Make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And don't forget to smash the like button. Anyways, for the markets, I just want to mention that as SPY was pushing this morning, I gave you guys a warning. I said, firstly, to watch this resistance near this 563 area. Every time SPY is hit 562 to 563, we have gotten rejections near there, besides the all-time high we made, which also led to a rejection, which was closer to 565. But as you guys could see, I gave you guys the warning about the level, and then SPY ended up dumping down to about 557. And you guys could see how this really did end up affecting us. That's how the resistance ended up playing out. And it's how SPY is trying to hold these levels, still staying within this range. So what's happening for tomorrow? I want to give you guys a warning. Tomorrow is going to be Friday, August 30th, 2024. Please know that 1 hour before the market opens, we have the PCE data report coming out. This is very similar to a CPI. We have core expected to be at 0.2%, the same as before. Same thing with the others out there, month over month and year over year. We're basically expecting a very similar report as to what we got during the previous one. So we will see if PCE is hot, will this cause the market to dip? If this is a decent PCE, will the market see a big rally up tomorrow? And if we do rally, will it be another pump and dump like move, right? There's all sorts of things that can end up happening. So you want to be open minded nonetheless. So I just want to make it very clear, I'm going to be watching this very, very carefully and wait and see what the reaction is. But if you're holding something overnight, whether it's calls or puts, whether you're holding a long position or short position, if you're selling covered calls, whatever you're trying to do, you have to be careful because we have more data coming out that's going to cause some high volatility, and the market's going to likely either gap up a lot higher than where we are or even gap down. You never know depending on the data. So we just have to be patient and wait and see how it goes. But just know that data is coming out. When we have data like this, I don't like to hold too many positions. That's why I took profits on these like dips and such. So that's the reason why I'm, doing what I'm doing. So it's up to you guys to do whatever you want to do after you heard about this. So SPY now has 560 as our resistance, and our main support right now is at 558. We may shuffle between here for the rest of the day, but just notes that for tomorrow we may open somewhere very, very different. For Nvda, so Nvda is also part of why the market dipped. We did push on Nvda very nicely. We ran all the way up to 124, only to see a rejection. Nvidia's dipping now, it's down 5.7% for the day. So that means that from yesterday's earnings, it dumped about 7%. It got bought back up 5%. That's a big move it made to the upside. That's why it was down only 2%. And now it's back down another 3%, which takes us down to about 5.7% in total. So that's why Nvidia was like this. It pumped and dumped. That's part of why the market followed that trend. So the question for Nvidia now is, will we lose the 4-hour 200 EMA around this 117 area? If we continue to close below this for 2 trading sessions, there's going to be a risk of it tipping down to fill some of these gaps below. It gets to the low 110s and eventually fill that gap. To be bullish, you want to break past 123, but this is still looking kind of weak in my personal opinion. For Bitcoin, Bitcoin's also kind of rejecting right here. It's forming a very, very nice looking cup-like structure. We have this resistance around 60,500. We have nice support around this 58,000 area. We're kind of stuck in the middle, and we're going to likely continue to range trade for now, depending on the PCE data report. So be prepared for that. For ES, we got this rejection, but we didn't lose critical support. As you guys can see, we have this range on ES. We've been stuck between these levels for quite some time. I also warned everyone about 5650, how every time we hit this, we had 3 big rejections, 4 of them actually. And we hit 5650 only to reject back down. We're looking at support at 5600 flats, and we're going to continue to range trade for now. So we'll see how PCE affects us. For Tesla, Tesla rebounded. Okay, great job by Tesla, only to come back down into this new looking like wedge that's forming. So you can see how this resistance slowed it down. We tried to hold above. We tested 212 only to reject. We didn't hold above it, and now we're holding the support at 207. If 207 fails, we're looking at 205 and 202. If we break above that, we'll be looking at the resistance where this trend line happens to be at 209 and also this 210 area. And break that in 212 is the next level. So we have some key levels on Tesla. We'll be watching to see how it reacts relative to this, but overall the trend is not that strong since we pumped and dumped. So it depends on PCE whether or not this continues. If this does continue, Tesla will be tipping back down to these lows. So be careful depending on PCE data. For NQ, we're also range bound because we got a nice rebound to about 19,700, then we rejected, and now we're getting bought back up very close to our 200 EMA around 19,400. If we hold above this, there could be, decent potential for this. If we close below this and we don't get a good PCE, I do expect this to come down to the lows. But once again, it all depends on PCE and what the reaction is, so be open minded nonetheless. For the QQQ, we have resistance at 473, not to mention 475, and we have our main support at 468. Um, as you guys know, we dumped really hard yesterday after Nvidia's earnings, got bought back up about 14 points, only to come back down. So now we're going to be looking at this to retest potentially the 472 to 473 area. That's where our support happens to be, which is now resistance and also our 50 EMA. And I think we're just going to shuffle for the rest of the day, not really doing much. For Aapl, we tried to push here. We're looking for at this 230 area. Like I said before, if we close above this, we're going to have some potential for more upside later. If we lose 230, we're going to be likely dipping back down to our range, taking us to 228. So watch for that as well. It depends on PCE. That's why I'm being less certain right now. Coin is coming down. Watch 188 as support. If we lose that, we have this big gap. We have this gap support here at 183. Not to mention this big gap down here at 178. And we have 172 as resistance. We're looking kind of weak on coin right now, but like I said, depends on the data tomorrow. Amazon got a pump and dump. I mentioned everyone, if you really want to see this run, you have to break past 174.5. We came just short, and we had this gap, so we came down towards that gap. Now we're just going to consolidate. There is a risk of us dipping down to 170, though it's showing a little bit of weakness. Same thing with Meta. Meta had a rally here, it rejected, rally here, it rejected, rally here, it rejected. We have resistance basically at 520, and our main support to watch for is going to be at 512. I see a risk of it dipping to 515 and 512, but overall, there is a little bit of weakness building for it. Microsoft kind of pumped and dumped, pumped and dumped, and pumped and dumped again. We need to hold above 415 to still have hope to rebound. If we don't reclaim that, I could see this dip down to 410 again. And then for Google, we are looking weak because we pumped here and dumped, pumped and dumped, pumped and dumped. If we don't hold above 163.5, we're at risk of dipping lower to the lows again. So be careful. So I'm seeing a little bit of weakness building for some of these stocks. But like I said in my earlier videos, during big data events, technicals are not always going to be everything because it depends on the data itself. So with that being said, we'll see what happens with PCE. It's not just about the data, it's also about how they use the data, right? Nvidia had good earnings. What did they do? They dumped it, they pumped it the next day. Now it's kind of dumping a little bit more. Look at SPY, it had to follow that similar trend. So when PCE data comes out, will it be decent? Will they use it as an excuse to pump things up? Or will they pump and dump things? It could be so many different possibilities looking at how data is being used nowadays. So the best thing to do is to be very, very open-minded to the fact that the market's full of manipulation and sometimes very unpredictable things could happen. So be open-minded to that and just know that the data is going to be very impactful tomorrow. And if you want to hold anything overnight, be my guest. You guys could do that if you want. But if you don't want to, it's your choice. Okay, so just know what my warnings are, and we'll see how things go. I'll be back in a couple of hours to give you guys another update, and peace out.